You've probably seen the movie Home Alone. My wife and I just watched it last week. As you know, the little boy Kevin um, is abandoned by his family, and he makes the most of this, what is an accidental abandonment. But eventually, the separation hurts, and he wants his family back. He wants closeness, maybe even needs communion. Being alone, feeling abandoned, rejected, forsaken, it's not a good feeling. In Matthew 40, 27:46 and Mark 15:34, Jesus says this, my God, why have you forsaken me? Hanging on the cross now, he feels as if he's being abandoned. And this is actually a quote from Psalm 22:1. And as terrible as the physical pain must have been, if that isn't enough, he now feels alone, rejected, abandoned. Have you ever had someone that you loved, maybe the dearest person to your heart, just suddenly give up and walk away? Now, that usually doesn't happen to most of us. If there is a separation, it's of friends or a parting of ways between family members. It's it's usually a slow fade where we casually, almost imperceptibly, move apart. So it's a shock when we realize that they're gone, but in reality, they've been gone a really long time. And also, usually, if there's a break between two people, it's a little bit of fault on both parties. I remember a time, um, and I'd gotten out of school and struggled a bit, to find the right job. And I finally got a job with an organization that I truly admired. And I had this plan, I would do the job that I was hired for a few years, and then I would move up to the next job. And then maybe 6 years down the road, 10 years down the road, I'd be in the position that I really felt like I was meant to do. Now, don't get me wrong, it was hard. Um, and honestly, that first job really wasn't working out as well as I had hoped. And there had to be some change. And I knew it, and my boss knew it. And, we sat down often and talked it over about what needed to be done so that I could move forward. And then one day, he shows up at my house. And I will never forget the first words out of his mouth. He said, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can resign tomorrow, or I'll have our leadership publicly remove you." I was in utter shock and disbelief. At the time, I had no idea why he was doing this. I felt tossed away. I felt like just a piece of trash that he could just dismiss. Now, I did resign and I tried to stay with the organization. I interviewed for several different jobs in a couple of different states, but nothing happened. And I don't know why that is. I felt at the time like I had been blacklisted, and I didn't even know what for. I felt like this organization that I admired abandoned me. Like as much as I believed in them, they didn't believe in me. Well, this incident on the cross is worse. Here is a father and a son who are in perfect union for all of their lives. They're so close that you could barely even tell them apart. They moved with one mind and one heart and one mission. Then, at the culmination of that mission, when the final death blow is about to be struck against the enemy, the father, he has to turn away. He can't watch this final outcome. And they planned it. They planned this down to the finest detail. It was perfection. But when perfection takes on the imperfections of all eternity, well, both of them could scarcely take it. And this might be the most human exclamation by Jesus, is the sin of the entire world. All the sin from the past, all the sin in the present, all the sin that would ever happen in the future, all of that was piled on his soul and his heart, and his spirit broke. It's not that he can't take it. He did take it. He can. He's so full of love for us that to feel the pain and the sorrow and the shame of all our sins pressing down on his sinless soul, his heart is broken for us. And I think the Father feels it even deeper. He feels the same about our sin, and he feels its weight, but he also sees his Son bearing the brunt of that stain. I'm a father too, and I love my son more than I love my own life. And I will let him hurt if it will help him learn or help him grow. But honestly, I'm not about to sacrifice him for anyone. You can't pay your debt? Well, my son is not covering for you. It's a good thing I'm not God. But but God, the Father, he has so much astounding love for you and for me, as much as he does for Jesus. And he allows his son to pay the price so that we can be free from the burden of our sin and shame. This is a love that I can't begin to understand. This is a sacrifice that I cannot comprehend. Gratitude does not begin to express my emotions towards Jesus for doing this. See, the weight of the sin of the world built this wall between the Father and the Son. They could not be in each other's presence anymore. Where once there was perfect harmony and unity, now they were polar opposites, complete discord. They were completely incompatible. There was purity on one side and filth on the other. There was holiness and there was corruption. There was perfect virtue and completely vile. Jesus is completely removed and separated from the perfect love, the perfect joy, and the perfect unity that he had known for all of eternity. And the weight of sin separates us from that one true source of love and acceptance, too. The penalty of sin, the horror of it, is separateness. Being separated from all that is good and loving and kind. I think that's what hell really is. I think in this instance, God reached out through time and space and put every sin that has ever happened and ever will happen literally on Jesus. Every atrocity from the Holocaust to slavery to stealing a pack of gum from the Walmart was on him. The weight of every angry word, the guilt of every lie, every act of violence, every envious thought, every act of rebellion, every rape, every murder, it was all on him because we could not bear it ourselves. We could not pay the price. We could not serve justice or mercy. So, out of love for you and me, out of a desire to restore a relationship with us, Jesus took our place. He was abandoned so that we might be accepted. He was forsaken that we might be invited in. He was rejected that we might be welcomed home. He became sin so that we could become holy. I cannot look at the light of this truth and turn away. I can only bow a knee in surrender and in gratitude.